Welcome to Leadership Bites with your host Guy Bloom, a leadership podcast, conversations, just me talking and occasional interviews. Check us out at livingbrave.com, and when you enjoy the episode, subscribe and tell everyone. So, Kevin, we are back in the saddle.
Good to be back in the saddle. Yeehaw!
Yeah, exactly. God blimey. Heineken Friday.
Let's get some giddy up music on.
I know. Oh my God. So, companion to the Craig Brookes episode that went out a couple of weeks ago, and Craig Brookes is the Craig Brookes Correct Choice Windows and Doors, where we talked about furloughs, tattoos, and honesty. And that was a cracking little episode. So just going to pick up on that one and get our thoughts and a little bit of conversation about how we felt about that one.
Tattoos, furloughs, and honesty. Is that the three you just mentioned?
Well, that was the title that I actually put on the episode, yeah.
Because he is a man of certain appearance. I remember you starting it with a little bit lightheartedness around, with you both agreeing that he looks like he's got his head on upside down. Now, I wouldn't say that to his face.
No, nor would I. No, I would do over from a long distance, but he's a big old boy.
Yeah, he does.
A handsome man, if you're listening.
He looks good. I like his look.
Well, I first came across him when he was doing these videos that had virtually nothing to do with what they do for a living, which is double glazing. As it says, I'm just looking at Craig's LinkedIn profile now, double glazing without the hassle. We make buying double glazing painless for everyone, there's just something about him. And he was talking about people who didn't want to return back from furlough, and he does these videos where he's just talking about the honesty in which the way he wants to deal with customers. And it was almost as in, it really doesn't matter what Craig's involved in selling or offering as a service. It just, what came through to me was his willingness to show who he is, and that to be part of what they're about as a business. So I reached out to him.
I'm glad you did. Really entertaining episode. There's no filter there with Craig, is it? You're going to get all of Craig up front. I don't believe you're getting a version of it. I don't believe he runs it through his head first to say, am I saying that right? He even apologizes and says stuff like he might not be the most articulate person in the world, but he's willing to put his views and opinions out there, and he knows that he's going to get judged. I saw, I think, a clip on LinkedIn from him the other day where he was demonstrating to people to say, look, if you're going to push a lot of content out here, don't start grumbling and complaining when you get the odd negative piece. If you have got a view and you decide that you would like to share it with a wide audience, not everybody's going to jump on board the happy bus with you. I love that.
And I think that's the difference between a Facebook where, you realise that 50% or more of the audience just get a kick out of saying something negative. But it doesn't really affect you commercially. But when you put stuff out on the LinkedIn platform, where it is blurring now a little bit as to what's what, since all the social media hashtag influencers have decided it's the new space, to come into. But people are much more sensitive, I think, to any form of negativity on the LinkedIn platform because and I think you're right. He just calls it out. Well, you put more of your own opinion out there. Unless you're being totally vanilla to the point where it's not worth it, then actually, if you're going to offer an opinion, then guess what? You're going to get opinions back. So put your big pants on.
Put your big pants on. Living brave leadership right there. When he spoke about how unpopular views and opinions can be, you mentioned rightly what different platforms there are out there. And I latched on to somebody else saying the other month, you can treat Twitter like a cocktail party, you can treat Facebook like a cafe, and you can treat LinkedIn as a professional conference event or something like that, exhibition event, where you put up your stand and your stall and you invite people in and have professional conversations. But I think Craig is bringing a new dimension and flavour. LinkedIn, possibly, I don't know, I don't quite know where I stand on this myself, but traditionally I would have seen LinkedIn as a platform that's dominated by white-collar people conducting commerce in a very dry fashion, suited, booted. But now Craig comes along and brings a fresh flavour that crosses a bridge between bridge and blue-collar environments.
Yeah, and I think there's something about you and I have worked with and do work with many senior people who have a profile, but they don't interact with LinkedIn. They might not interact with LinkedIn all year, mainly because they just see it as a CV thing they'll use if they ever need to, and they've been in this job for years and they don't intend to move on. So I don't know even why I've got a LinkedIn profile, but apparently somebody said I should have one.
Yeah.
But because they're looking at it from what it was, which was a digital CV, it is definitely morphed into something that is now got people who are looking at it. I mean, obviously, people are trying to sell on there, but almost the path seems to be show your true self so people can connect with you as a personality. And then if they like the essence of what you are and what you offer is or becomes relevant to them at some point, they will engage with you because they've already bought into the honesty and the transparency of what you are. And so you do see the corporate-esque video clip, and then you see that person who's just in their car, who's not treating it like Facebook, as in, hey, just got my nails done, but he's treating it like, well, here's a comment, this is what I think, and they're showing their true self. And there's nobody going to show themselves truer than Craig, right?
Yeah, like Craig does. He'll put the phone in front of his face, turn the video camera on, press go. He says, right, let me tell you something that's just happened to me, and let me tell you what's what about that. And then you get it, both barrels.
Yeah, and I think that's where the trust comes when it comes to, well, is that the person that I want doing my conservatory? Is that the person I want doing my windows and doors? And actually, if you see him and you buy into the fact that I believe that this person operates from a place of honesty and integrity, and I'm buying into the fact that this isn't an act, and I'm buying into the fact that he's really showing his true self. Well, if I don't like that, I won't be giving him a call. But if I do like that, well, that's the fella and that's the company for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think it really highlighted to me on the episode, I can't remember if we spoke about it. I think we did, which is that I think a lot of corporate organizations, or those organizations that are inverted commas trying to be corporate, they're very shy of anything that isn't a positive.
Yes.
Therefore, they vanillarize themselves.
Yes.
And they're very generic and they're very bland and they're very, I'm almost going to use the word woke, which is that kind of, showing that they're backing this.
On the right side.
And they're on the right side of everything. And you go, no, there's no human being I've met in the world that's like that. Nobody's that, well, some people are maybe, but, inherently anybody of any worth isn't bland and isn't generic. And maybe that's where the lack of trust comes because of a lot of things that we see in the world today. Actually, do you know what I want to do? I want to see your true self.
Yeah.
And a lot of larger organizations don't know how to do that because they fear losing any form of positivity.
The risk and reward ratio is too great on the risk side of them. They need to be safe rather than dangerous or brave or daring. But that's not Craig. Perhaps my favourite part of the podcast interview with Craig was when he talks about his industry is plagued by scam artists and he's out to change the industry. He spoke of, I can come into your house because I'm so experienced and because of my professional background in this trade, I can probably do you a home visit in 30 minutes and tell you what's what. And I can give you the quotation. I don't need to be in there for 2, 3, 4 hours giving you an interview, although I do respect, he said, that some customers do want that big sales show. And so he recognises that a lot of people will buy into him and his approach and style, but there are still some customers out there because they want the big show and tell and sales exhibition that might not buy from him. But I love it when he talks about changing the industry because it is an industry that is ready for change.
And I think that's an element of, I've not had him do that, but I can imagine if you rang him up and said, could you pop round, mate? He'd walk in and he'd go, well, he'd know the size of the windows just as probably being in, generically sized. And he'd probably go 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, you've got 12 windows, 2 bays, whatever. Okay, it's X.
Yes.
And you go, oh, right. And then he'd go, well, listen, here's a list of the last 10 jobs that we've done this month with the phone numbers next to them. Give any of them a call. and I'm not saying he does that, but I can imagine that he'd just literally go, or actually, Mr. Jones on over at 22 Acacia and you three doors over. Yeah, we've just fitted his thing. Go knock on his door and have a chat with him, and he'll tell you what. I imagine he's very testimonial led. Very listen. I could give you all the flannel in the world, or you could just go and knock on half of these doors, and they'll tell you.
And just to be clear, everyone that's listening, Guy is not advocating for companies giving out the phone numbers of previous customers.
Oh yeah,
we are very into GDP and protecting customer data.
Good point.
And Craig Brookes at Choice Windows doesn't do that either.
No, of course he doesn't. It was a metaphor. It was a metaphor.
It's a really good metaphor.
Well, that's what I'm saying now.
It's a really good metaphor.
See, I like the good old days when you could just,
we dish out people's phone numbers.
And their mobiles, and just say, hey, listen, they won't mind you popping around, I'm sure. I know they live alone and they're vulnerable, but just pop around, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Do you know when Sainsbury's and Safeway, they used to perhaps dominate some of the supermarket industry, and then you had Tesco and Asda that came along and completely disrupted that marketplace. That's what I want Craig to do. He could be the new Aldi and Lidl of the window industry. Do you know how helpful he is? He even spoke about, if you've got a quote or 2 or 3 quotes but you just don't know, give me a ring, and if I'm at the other end of the country to where you are, I probably won't be coming to do your windows for you, but by all means, send me the quotations and I'll tell you if it's about in the ballpark, or it looks a bit shy, or it looks like a great deal, or it looks too much. That's really kind of him.
Yeah. I think there's just something about that inherent willingness to, because he is an expert and he can quickly evaluate, that willingness and that desire to just play a straight game. And I think that's what came across. So I liked it. I think it said, when I look at these companions now, I think, what's my takeaway? What can I do with this if I'm with a client or coaching somebody or whatever it might be? And I think this one for me is, I can say, if you listen to the Craig episode, you can take from that the reality of what is our marketing, what is our brand? Does the reality of what we're really about come through in the experience that people have of us? And for example, is our marketing very professional but quite vanilla? But when you meet us, we're the life and soul of the party, or actually, do we try and give it the big 2.0 modern look? But when you meet us, we're a little bit bland. I mean, do we match? Is it because I don't think you need to be a Craig personality, but if what we are is inherently true, then let's just show that.
Yes.
And let's not fulfill the caricature of our own environment.
Yeah. Put it out there. Be brave enough to put it out there and see if the world likes it. I bet you it does.
And I think, 20 years ago, you could say, hey, you've got to be very, very careful. But I think now there's an inherent, I was going to say distrust, but I think people are now very alert to the mechanism of being sold to. They know when they're being sold to. So this is selling in the sense of, I'm letting you see who I am, but it's more you're buying me rather than I'm selling myself to you.
Yep.
And I like that a lot.
That's well put. I agree with that 100%.
Okay. Well, on that note, group hug.
Virtual high five.
Yeah, I'll go back to giving out people's names and addresses. I'll just be popping them through people's letterboxes for the entire neighbourhood so we can all just communicate with each other. Oh, God. There we go. You can see where my speciality sits, and it's not there.
It was a good metaphor, Guy. We appreciate the metaphor that it is.
Thank you very much, Your Honour. That was my intent. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you soon, Kev.
Thanks, Guy. Well done, Craig.
That's it. Subscribe so you keep updated on new episodes. Visit livingbrave.com if you want to connect with us and find out more. This has been Leadership Bites. See you soon.